Which players are set to smash in Week 7 and help you win your matchup? We're about to tell you. Welcome back, Endgame community. I'm Pierre, he is Chris, and we're here as always to give you our boom picks, this time heading into the 7th week of the season. And we're going to combine here. All positions are up for grabs. So Chris, give me a player that you like heading into this week.
You know, one thing about the NFL that is both great and, frustrating is you never know what to expect. Week to week, season to season, always full of surprises. And I think one of the biggest surprises this year has to be Josh Jacobs. Not just how good Josh Jacobs has been, but how much he's being used in this Raiders offense. Josh Jacobs has become a true workhorse running back. And yes, he's also been great. He's running hard. He's running like a guy who isn't going to get paid next year unless he produces this year, because we know he will be a free agent, and he's running like it. But when you combine that with the fact that the Raiders are giving him workhorse usage, it's leading to huge Josh Jacobs weeks. And I think that continues here in week number 7 because it's the Texans. And one thing about the Texans, well, there's a lot of things about the Texans, but one thing about the Texans, they are terrible against the run. One of the worst run defenses in the entire NFL. And there's no, light at the end of the tunnel here. Like, it's not like their defense is decimated by injury and they're getting some key players back. No, this is just a terrible run defense. This isn't a game where the Texans should force the Raiders into a shootout. They should have no problem giving Josh Jacobs workhorse usage again this week in a great matchup against one of the worst defenses. If you've been riding Josh Jacobs, you're feeling good. Feel good again because he's going to smash in week 7.
Yeah, I have a feeling after this week, we're just going to have to put him in the set and forget, must-start territory for running backs each and every week. And you know what? Maybe it won't be too much longer before we talk about Kenneth Walker that way. I mean, I know it's a very small sample size, but what has he done in his first 2 games of actual extended action? Well, he has helped you win because he's breaking off long runs. He's scoring a touchdown. That's what he does, and he is a workhorse. Look, the only guy they have behind him is DJ Dallas. We thought, maybe he'll be involved more in passing downs or whatever. DJ Dallas barely was on the field. Kenneth Walker is the guy. And the Texans are a really bad run defense. The Chargers have been worse. They're giving up 6.2 yards per carry. Worse than the NFL heading into week 6. All right, so Kenneth Walker, what has he done? Well, he's averaging 5.5 yards per carry so far in his NFL career. He's a guy who doesn't need a ton of volume because he can take it to the house, but he's still getting a ton of volume. All right, so I love Walker rest of the season, but I really love him this week. I mean, he's in no doubt must-start guy, and this could be his best game as a pro. I think it's safe to say Kenneth Walker is going to be one of the top running backs in week 7. All right, Chris, hit me off with another boom pick.
Brandon Cooks is a guy who can always boom, and we haven't really seen a lot of booms this year, right? That connection with him and Davis Mills, it just hasn't been there, but feels like a get-right spot this week against this Raiders defense, which for whatever reason has struggled this year. We thought this Raiders defense, with the improvements they made in the offseason, would be a strong defense, and they just haven't been. And I don't know what the reason is, but it's not happening for the Raiders. And look, Brandon Cooks isn't a guy that you just feel great about week in and week out. He's one of those boom-bust wide receivers, but we've seen it with guys, Amari Cooper, Gabe Davis, Mike Williams. When they boom, they help you win your week, and that's what you're looking for. And I think that's what Brandon Cooks brings to the table this week. Coming off the bye, they should be ready. This offense should be ready. Brandon Cooks, yes, he's always a risky start, but he always has that week-winning potential, that week-winning upside. I think he realizes it in week 7. If you've got Brandon Cooks, you got guys out with injury, guys on bye. I think he makes a great fill in this week with tons of upside.
Yeah, it's crazy. I hear about some leagues where Brandon Cooks is getting dropped. I mean, I get it that he hasn't been great this year, inconsistent, coming off the bye, but this is not a guy you give up on after a couple of down weeks. I think he's a very solid start, especially this week. Now, you mentioned Amari Cooper as one of those boom-bust guys. Well, let me talk about Amari Cooper because I have a feeling he's going to boom this week. And even in a really tough matchup against the Patriots last week, it looked like he was going to bust, but he still found the end zone. That's what he's done in 4 of the last 5 games. I know week 1 was like an abysmal failure. That was just week 1. Okay, since then, he's almost automatic getting in the end zone, and this week he goes against the Ravens. So I do realize the Ravens secondary has gotten much better since the first 2 weeks where they gave up this record-setting amount of yardage, but this is still not a lockdown secondary, okay? Cooper is a guy who's getting a ton of targets, 12 targets in each of the last 2 games, and he's getting the end zone, and he's got a good matchup. This is going to be a boom week for Amari Cooper. I can guarantee it. All right, give me one more boom pick you like for week 7.
I liked Matt Ryan as a streaming option last week against the Jaguars, but I love Matt Ryan as a streaming option this week against the Tennessee Titans. The Titans are one of 3 defenses that are allowing quarterbacks to score above their average points per game in fantasy, meaning every quarterback that has played the Titans so far has scored more than their average. We've already seen Matt Ryan have some big games, over 300 yards, a couple touchdowns, just like he did last week. I think he continues it this week. And here's the other thing. He was not sacked one time last week. That is a great sign. I don't think the offensive line is suddenly really improved, that he's never going to get sacked, but it looks like they're figuring things out. And one of the things they did last week that really helped was they went hurry up. They played hurry up at a higher rate than any other team this entire season. It worked. My guess is they will continue that. And that's what you got to do when you have an offensive line that can't pass protect. Play faster, get the ball out quicker. Don't worry about that pass protection. I think they do it this week. And against this Titans defense, they shouldn't have to worry about pass rush anyways, because this isn't a defense that has an extremely strong pass rush. So if you streamed Matt Ryan last week, you felt good, just keep him in your lineup again this week, because I think he does even better in week 7.
Yet another veteran, proven veteran who's put up numbers year after year. It was too early to give up on him. Guys, this could be a very good offense, including the pass offense. So I definitely agree with that. And let's go from the old to the new. I'm going to talk about rookie Romeo Doubs of Green Bay. I mean, it's been inconsistent. Like, what do you expect with any rookie? And Green Bay's offense, I get it. That passing game has been inconsistent as well. So why do I like Doubs this week? All right, well, obviously the matchup has something to do with it. Going against Washington, we know that this secondary has given up a ton of plays, big plays, to wide receivers. And now they have their backup quarterback. This team could be giving the ball back to Green Bay a lot. But here's the thing, too. You might have noticed something that happened last week. Look, Randall Cobb is out. Could be out for a while with that high ankle sprain. So what happened? Robert Tonyan went off. Okay, so maybe we should be talking about Robert Tonyan. But no, this Washington defense is actually really tough against tight ends. They have given up the 3rd fewest fantasy points to tight ends, the 2nd fewest receptions total, only 17 catches to tight ends all season. And you know what? They're 3rd worst against wide receivers. And this is definitely a secondary that is, able to be exploited by the outside guys. And Doubs, even though he hasn't put up big numbers for you the last couple of weeks, he's been getting targeted, right? Just haven't been connecting. But he got 9 targets last week, and I think he still gets a high target share. And this is a matchup where I think he has the opportunity to make a big play. So don't give up on Doubs just because he hasn't put up big fantasy numbers. This could be a week where he booms. All right, now you know which players we think will go off in week 7. We also tell you which players to start and sit at every position. We got you covered also with waiver wire, trade talk, players to panic about. It's all here in our week 7 playlist, so check it out.